Welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and today we have a true honor. We get to sit down and talk with a true titan of digital media, and when it comes to content strategy, Dan Shinder. He has something that is going to be very special for you guys. If you're watching us online, we have a little promo code that you can see at the bottom throughout the show today. But man, let's just get to the business. Nearly 1.5 million active followers and an annual reach of topping 100 million people in over 130 countries. This guy is serious about what he does. And obviously, he knows what he's doing. With his experience in unstoppable global lifestyle brand, Drum Talk TV, we're going to learn everything about the inside scoop of what he does day in, day out in his professional career. I can probably spend another 30 minutes on his resume, but I just want to keep the space and say, hey, man, you have a 30-minute resume. I just want to say how you doing today, Dan.
Oh, thank you. And thanks so much for having me. I'm doing very well. How are you? Good to see you.
Awesome, man. Doing awesome. I mean, I did not do justice with all the stuff you have accomplished, but we're going to get right to the roots of this. When it comes to the Drum Talk TV, kind of tell us what is the backstory and why did you want to form that amazing platform?
Thank you. The backstory is that I was a professional musician from the time I was 15. I did what a lot of musicians do. I chased the record deal and all that. I didn't get the record deal, but I did go on my first paid tour at 15 years old. My parents must have been crazy to let me go do that, but they did. And that's when I really knew I wanted to be a professional musician as a thing. And I was for quite a while. And then I got out of music pretty much completely as far as the business. And I had a video production company for years and years and years. And I stopped doing that because I wanted to do something in music. And my wife actually suggested it. I started an online lesson platform. And my wife saw me, my wife's name is Enja, and she saw me interview some people. And she said, that's what you should do. Because she saw me do interviews in the charter yacht industry and things like that. And I said, no, it's just an extra thing. It's all about the lessons. And she kept banging on me about it and told another friend. He said the same thing. And long story short, I closed what was Dan's Drum Clinics and opened Drum Talk TV officially January 7th of 2013. And by that time, after sort of working on it in my head for 2 or 3 months, I have a lot of different musical tastes. I mean, literally all over the map. And I couldn't find a way to enjoy that in one place. So I said, okay, we're going to cover the world of drumming. And I mean, the world of drumming. Jazz of all different eras, all kinds of rock, metal, pop, gospel, soul, rhythm and blues, music from West Africa, taiko music from Japan. I mean, just everything. I had this big, crazy, you must be out of your mind vision. And in that first year, when I started it, I knew nothing mattered if I didn't have an audience to enjoy it. And this was not going to be just a hobby. And in our first 7 weeks on Facebook, we had 47,000 followers, and I never paid for advertising, still haven't, never paid for attracting an audience. And granted, 12 and a half years ago, things were a little bit different as far as the algorithm, but we skyrocketed past everybody in our space and started doing interviews with gold and platinum artists, covering events, doing our own documentaries, and it just grew and grew. And part of the key is I didn't do what everyone else was doing. And I don't mean from a brand standpoint. I mean, that certainly, but from the marketing strategy and the practices on social media, in the first year when we achieved 900% more online reach and engagement than everybody else in our space, that inspired me to start a marketing training company to teach people how to do what I've done. So I do coaching, consulting with everybody from musicians to solopreneurs, big companies of all types. I've worked with Ford Motor Company, Citibank, McDonald's, all the way to Herschel Mecklenburger's Garage Band, a little bit of everything. And I really looked at what people were doing and it didn't make sense to me. And I realized everyone's doing what everyone else is doing because that's what everyone else is doing. It's the big shiny object, the herd mentality. So I used a little bit of uncommon sense, objectivity and logic. And I just started experimenting with stuff that made sense to me, and what worked, we leveraged and made better and better. And we have over the 12 years. What didn't work, we either fixed or said, that doesn't work, and everyone's still doing it. And I think my favorite example of that is hashtags. Everybody, I wrote a book on it. It's the biggest thorn in my side. Everyone's using generic hashtags. Hashtag FYP for your page. Hashtag entrepreneur. Hashtag it's Friday. Hashtag flat tire in the rain. Hashtag I left my burqa in the truck. Hashtag whatever's on their mind. And if people use generic hashtags, they think it rides some magical wave and helps their content be found. But it's the opposite. If 400,000 people in 1 week are using hashtag entrepreneur, let's say, how is someone's post going to show up if someone clicks on that hashtag or searches it on YouTube or on Google or on Instagram or on Facebook? It's lost in a sea of 400,000 other hashtags. But there's this myth that if you use a popular hashtag, it'll somehow show up on Jupiter somehow. So I teach people how to create branded hashtags that only ties their content together. It's like I tell people, I say it separates our crap from everyone else's crap, because our crap is our crap. So those are a little bit of the backstory, how I started as a musician. I started teaching lessons. My wife really had the idea to start like a media company, started doing all these things, and it just turned into this amazing marketing experience that led to a whole new world as well. And now we have a really fun membership site, not just for drummers, and nothing we've done has ever been just for drummers. We have followers from over 100 countries, just a lot of music fans. And now the membership site has a lot of fun stuff like online game shows, music themed game shows. People win prizes, all kinds of things like that. And, I think everyone could agree, no matter what lane you're in, spiritually, religiously, politically, or whatever, the world it's a rough place right now. Not a lot has changed in 5,000 years when you really look at sociology. So our brand is kind of like, we want to provide fun. We want healthy escapism. Drug and alcohol abuse was up over 60% from COVID, and it's gone up 24% more amongst 18-year-olds and younger. So we want to provide an escape from all the nonsense on social. There's a lot of great stuff there. I'm an addict of social, but there's all the political stuff, the racial stuff, all of that. And we have a safe place where none of that happens. And it's just fun. It's like, get away for an hour and a half, come play a live online game show and just have some fun. So that's 12 and a half years and 2 weeks scrunched together for you.
Once again, listen to I Am Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest today, Dan Shinder. You can go to his website, drumtalktvbrilliance.com. He's the founder and CEO of Drum Talk TV. I want to dive even more into this marketing, because how many of us have been in the let's pray after we post something, hoping that someone sees it other than our friends and family? When you teach something called social media on steroids, kind of unpack that for our audience, and how can they make that shift with their platform today?
Oh, it's such a great question, because the answer is so simple. We have to sit at the grown-ups table and be objective about our content. And we have to not do what everyone else is doing, like that hashtag example I used. And there's so many others. And we can't resolve just to ask our friends and family, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Because they'll hold our hand, smile, nod, and walk us to the cliff and then let go and watch us fall, because they don't want to hurt our feelings. You need to ask someone who's going to gently punch you in the jaw, push you down the stairs, run down the stairs before you can get up, elbow you in the chest, then help you up, dust you off, and really give you the scoop. Even if they got to throw some shade in your direction, we need to know where our stuff stands and not just be myopic about it. So that's number one. Got to be objective. Number two, always be open to learning. I'm in my 60s. I listen to 3 business audiobooks a month, and I listen to them 2 or 3 times in a row. Always be learning, and never be afraid to be the weirdo in your group who's doing things differently because you're afraid everyone will ridicule you. Why are you doing that? This is how it's done. Really? That's how it's done. Why? Because everyone else is doing it. So when I teach or coach, I tell people the disclaimer is two things. I'm going to say some wacky stuff you've never heard, and you're going to think I'm crazy because it goes against everything you see and hear out there. But I'm the one that reaches 100 million people a year organically. I have over 1.3 million fans just on Facebook alone, and it's not to brag, it's my credibility. So yeah, I'm going to say some wacky stuff and it works. And then the other thing I tell them is I've been told I'm an expert at giving people more bleep to do than the time they have to do the regular stuff already. And it's a lot of work. I'm not shy about saying that. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm just going to get someone to do my social media. Now, I know those of you listening can't see this, but those of you watching, I'm holding a computer keyboard, and anyone with a computer keyboard says they, quote, do social media. I'm a social media admin. And it's like they have no strategies. They're just posting stuff. I teach strategies 100% guaranteed to work. There's no way it won't work if people follow exactly what I give them. And even if they have someone doing it for them, whether they're working in-house or they contract out, if people learn from me, they'll be able to better collaborate with them. They'll probably know more than who they hired, to be honest with you, even an agency. And they'll be able to better collaborate with them. And as a business owner, they should know how this works. They don't have to get a degree in marketing, but years and years and years ago in another lifetime, I managed restaurants and I had to know how to change the vat oil. Never did it as a manager. I needed to know how to clean the grills, change the filters. I needed to know how to diagnose the HVAC system so I'd know if our air conditioner repair guy was ripping us off or not. So it's kind of the same thing. You have a responsibility to yourself, your business, and the people under your wings that you take care of on your payroll to know how this works. And it's not about the best product. It's not about the best service. The one with the best marketing is going to win. And there's proof of that with a lot of garbage that's out there, but their marketing's great. One nugget on that, if I may. A fun little quiz I like to do when I teach or just talk to people is I say, who do you think the highest paid copywriters are? Are they people that write for Wall Street Journal, New York Times, LA Times, that go through all this stuff? And people throw in their guesses and I say, it's people who write for the garbage rags like National Enquirer. And they use these sensationalistic power words and this and that. So it's not always about having the best pricing, the best service. That's important. But if you don't have strategic marketing that gets results where you can get engagement and learn from your audience, get them to fall in love with you, fall in love with what you're doing, what you're offering, you're just doing stuff. And it's funny, I appreciate what you said. I'm serious about what I do. That's one of my taglines. I tell people, if you're serious about what you do, get serious about how you do it. Get serious about how you're marketing it. But we're in a world of shortcuts. Everyone wants to save time, use AI, all these different things. It all starts in your head and your heart. And you got to get strategic. You got to get analytical. And in your heart, you really got to care about what you're doing. You really do. So that's my spiel on really what I teach. And again, that came from the coaching and the consulting and the workshops and courses for social media on steroids, came from achieving those very high numbers in the first year. And the first thing I thought of was, wow, I want to share this. I want to teach other people how I achieve this so that they can thrive doing what they love to do, helping people however it is that they help people. I started doing that in the music industry because that's where I was. That's where my contacts were. And I'm sure there's no musicians listening, so I can say this. And those of you watching, there's a lot of different, there's things all over my walls, all kinds of decorations, framed pictures, awards. They're not decorations. They're covering up holes in the wall from me banging my head against it, working with people in the music industry. Because bless our hearts, we got a lot going on in the right brain, but sometimes the left brain is. So I joke about that. But when I shifted to working with business people, most artists are not business people first. My wife and I are. It changed the game, and it made me better at what I did because I was helping more people that knew they needed it. A lot of people think they don't need it because they're just copying whatever else is going on out there. So, and I love doing it. It's fun. I think I'm a natural nurturer. My wife and I have a blended family of 11 kids, 19 grandkids, and a 1.5-year-old great grandson. So we naturally take care of people, so that's kind of what that business was started for. It wasn't because I wasn't busy enough with Drum Talk TV. It's because I really felt a responsibility, and I get a lot of joy out of teaching the courses, doing one-on-one consulting, coaching, things like that. And it's ever changing. And it doesn't come with instructions, right? Like, regardless of what platform you're on, we don't get instructions that say, hey, we moved these buttons, got rid of this feature, added these, and here's how you use it. Like, that never happens. One day the interface looks different or stuff behaves differently. So I help people navigate through that.
Once again, watching I Am Refocused Radio and talking to our guest today, Dan Shinder. What I want to say is you definitely have not just passion, but you definitely found a way what works for your brand. Like, I can feel it. I can, like, when I'm listening, you was like, man, I can just like sit back, sip some tea and just listen to the rest of the show. And I think that's why people like yourself are so successful, because you have spent so much time developing ways you needed to do that actually connects with your audience. Now, I want you to kind of touch on that connection part, because just yesterday I interviewed a athlete who former champion, Sports Illustrated cover guy,
Wow.
Brandon Day. And he said something very powerful. And he said, with the spotlight and the hype and all that, being top athlete, he said, sometimes the spotlight, the brightest light, it also casts the darkest shadows. So when you have the highs, sometimes you have those super lows as well. With your brand, even though you had those amazing connections and you have that great recipe that's working for you, talk about the challenges though that kind of keep you in check. Because
you've been talking to my wife, haven't you? This is a question every entrepreneur should have an answer for and learn from answers to that question. Because with all the success, with all the great numbers, with all the wonderful, amazing people I get to work with in both companies, with Drum Talk TV, the amazing artists, the record labels, all that stuff, and with Social Media on Steroids courses, the name of that company is Advanced Social Marketing. I get to work with great entrepreneurs and stuff. And there is a high life element in that, but just like he said, there are I mentioned the holes in the walls behind all my decorations, right? and there's so many, like, just throwing my hands up in the air moments that it's frustrating. And to get great results, you have to do great work. And to do great work, it's not just the knowledge, it's the elbow grease, it's the learning, it's the applying. I think I work on average 14 hours a day. And when people say they're too busy to learn this stuff, it's like, you just don't want it badly enough, or you're happy with where you are. I mean, I think I'm pretty busy. Drum Talk TV is busy. Am I coaching clients, all this stuff? Busy. The 11 kids, 19 grand. We hear from them all the time. It's funny. Our youngest son, he's almost 31. He's our chief operating officer now. He's been with me 7 years, and we just hired one of our granddaughters to work in the content production and scheduling department. She's 8 years old, but she's real smart. No, she's 24. She's 24. And it's like, I never thought I'd work this much or this hard at this age, but it pays off, not just the hard work, but just like they say, working smart. You really got to be, it's like Ray Kroc said, the founder of McDonald's, the 4 work dimensions are still so valid. You got to be motivated, high energy level. And I think most importantly, you got to be flexible and have adaptability, because this stuff is always changing, and you can't just get stuck with what you just learned and say, well, but I just spent all this time doing that, I'm going to keep doing it. If it's not going to work because other stuff changed, why would you do that? So those low moments, there really, I don't know of one entrepreneur that hasn't been living through an emotional roller coaster. Even
don't exist.
Right? Yeah, even folks much more successful than I am that retired at 44, multimillionaires at 44, 20 years younger than I am now. It's like I still hear their stories of, oh, let me tell you about this one time when I had to, so that's the other fifth dimension. I think you really need to have a strong mental and emotional foundation. You've got to take care of yourself, even if they're in little spurts. My thing is, I grow flowers for a hobby. Our yard is all concrete, but I have all these platforms I built out of pallets and all these containers. I grow wildflowers and all kinds of crazy stuff. I have a greenhouse, and we have 3 dogs and 2 cats. Those are the only kids at home. Those are the kids we had together, and they're all rescues. So a lot of my peace time, a lot of people think I go into my studio and I just wail away to my favorite music on the drums. I only make time to do that like once a week, once every other week, believe it or not. And I got all this amazing, beautiful gear. I never thought I'd have so much stuff, but it's the peaceful moments. There's a place, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes from where we live. We live up in the mountains east of Phoenix, and about 7,500 people. That was a big change, moving from Vegas to here. 20 minutes away, I can go park on a bluff, and I'm overlooking the Apache Nation reservation. And I go there and I just think, I just decompress. I take 2 different notebooks with me. One is if a business idea comes to me, one's more spiritual writings and just things I know I want to improve on with myself, things like that. I know this sounds like a platitude, but you really got to eat right. You got to exercise. You really got to take care of yourself. And I had a bad experience 8.5 years ago, 8 years ago, April, right after we moved here, because I wasn't taking care of myself as much. And I was finishing a documentary I did with Billy Cobham, the forefather of fusion music, a lot of stuff going on with Drum Talk TV. And we were leaving to go see my daughter get married in Oregon. And I think I've only said this once publicly, but again, it's all about helping people, right? I was afraid people wouldn't want to work with me when I say this, but I had 7 mini strokes sitting right here at this desk. And my wife said, she used to be a nurse. She said, there's no way we're getting on that plane tomorrow. I said, there's no way we're going to miss my daughter's wedding. So we went, we did the thing, came back, and she went to the market to go make a nice dinner. She came home. I'm yelling, looking for her. I didn't remember going to Oregon. I didn't remember. You got to take care of yourself. However that works. Play Monopoly, play olive oil twister with your friends, get a slip and slide, go motorcycle riding, jump off a bridge with a pair. Whatever your jam is, do more of it. It's so important. I just can't stress that enough.
I like that. I really like that. And not trying to plug Brandon Day from yesterday, but I just can't help but think about the parallels with you and him.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so important. I think for a lot of people, it's in the back of our minds, and that's something we forget. Maybe it makes a lot of people feel vulnerable. Like I said, I was always afraid to share the story I just said because I was afraid business partners, clients would, oh no, what if, I don't want to, there's too much risk. And I have a friend that writes business books that are based on like, don't let them see you sweat. As a leader, I'm the opposite. I want my team to see that I'm just like them. My wife does therapy. She tells her story, so she knows that people she's giving therapy to, that she does can relate, because we're human too, that kind of thing. So I've come around where now I think it closes the loop on why does he go off so much on you got to take care of yourself. I felt like I had to qualify that. Well, because I almost died from not doing it, okay? I almost lost my cookies and had toys in the attic, It's so important. So it's great that he brought that up. It inspired me to tell you that.
Yeah, and that's why I want to share, because like I said, it's a parallel, because obviously he loved the game of football and he became a champion multiple times and he graced the cover of Sports Illustrated. So
yeah,
just hearing his passion and his dilemma after playing football, he had a lot of pain, a lot of wear and tear on his body. And when you're saying all that, I just couldn't help but think about that interview I had just yesterday. And I want to say for our audience that a lot of times we are so worried about the next podcast episode or the next book or the next movie. It's always the next. And you can have something like this right here, right now. Dan, give me some golden nuggets. And we don't soak in. So I want you to like watch this interview again and share it with your friends and family, especially those who are thinking about being in the business world, because everything you're talking about is what a lot of people miss out on. And that is in the field experience, because we can get so up in our mind about, okay, I got to have this 3-liners I had to meditate on. And that's a good exercise.
Yeah.
But it's not the complete result. It's like there's more to life than that.
And find a mentor, surround yourself with people who have been through it and been pooped out the other side already, and then be that for someone else. It's so important. What goes around truly comes around, and it pays off times 10. You can't just rely on, it's like my friend Jim Pluff. He's one of the ones that retired at 44 as a multimillionaire, and he writes business management books now. He says, never take advice from someone who hasn't done what you want to do. So think about that, folks. Next time you ask them about your content or your next dream or your next endeavor, surround yourself with people who have been through it. Surround yourself with people who will only support you. Otherwise, you're just self-sabotaging yourself. They're not doing it.
I have to tell you this quick 30-second story, and my audience going to say, oh, no, not again. It's okay.
I love stories like that.
But I always talk about,
it's worthy, right?
I always talk about the history, how the show started in 2017, and it's going to be a very short version. And just saying, based on what we had in our discussion today, you cannot take advice from someone who isn't going where you want to be. Okay. Right. I was questioned by an older gentleman in a barbershop after a show. And I only said this like twice. So it's the third time saying it. But he said, what's next? What are you doing here? He said, I'm glad you have the barbershop thing going. You know, it's nice. But what are you doing? He was all serious. I was a little offended at first. I'm like, man, who are you to talk to? Like, I'm doing this. I got all these interviews. I got people coming to the shop. It's lit. It's cool. What are you talking? You know? And he explained himself. He said, it has to be bigger than this, right? And then I'm like, oh, snap. Because what you thought was good, what you thought was great, and then you have someone on the outside giving you some wisdom advice. I didn't know that. He was just someone who kept coming. He was an older gentleman who kept coming to the shop. And he just kept saying, what's next, man? What are you doing next? So all that to land the airplane is that 2025 is like amazing. Like everything we're doing with the show, with people like you on the show, I mean, it's bigger and bigger and bigger guests who have bigger and bigger and bigger stories and success and pain points. That's why we always want to talk about pain points.
Yeah.
Because it all comes full circle. What's next? Because if you settle, you're going to be like, I'm busy, wink, wink, as you're watching Netflix and binge watching your favorite shows. There's a difference. Are you busy trying to get better and say what's next? Or are you busy to get comfortable? You can take a break.
Yeah.
Don't stay there.
Wow, that's so golden. What's his story? Do you know?
The older guy?
Yeah.
Man, he was just probably a divine assignment because I don't even know the guy. He just kind of wanted to chit-chat, and it was probably the best chit-chat ever.
I bet there's something deep where his wisdom's coming from.
Probably watching. I'm sure he's been watching me, and he was probably sent to the shop. Hey, man, ask him what's next.
Yeah. He's probably been through some life, and that's where they came from.
But I appreciate you being on. Before we go,
I'm honored. Thank you.
I want you to share with our audience what's next for you. I mean, I'm sure it's so much stuff you do in the lab with so many things that you're producing and getting ready for.
Yeah.
But what can you give us a teaser preview?
I might open a barbershop. No. You know, it's funny. My mom was a cosmetologist. She had a beauty shop. That's funny. No, that's a great question. What's next is we're like stepping right on the starting line. Our toes are hanging over the starting line of a big expansion we've been planning for 2 years. That is such an undertaking. We haven't finished taking the deep breath to get off that starting line. It's been so much planning. But what we're doing is we're starting Brilliance Entertainment Group, not entertainment, but entertainment. Brilliance Entertainment Group is what Drum Talk TV is going to slide under the way Facebook and Instagram slid under Meta, and we're starting 6 sister brands. We've started already building them, 6 sister brands that will be built on the same exact methodology of Drum Talk TV, but it's Guitar Talk TV, Bass Talk TV, Keyboard Talk TV, Vocal Talk TV, Horn Talk TV, and Music Talk TV. Music Talk TV will be editorial and industry news only. And we believe, because we know how to do this, we've got 12 and a half years of doing it as Drum Talk TV. I believe that within 3 to 5 years, we could build those as big as we built Drum Talk TV. And our membership site will just grow exponentially more. It's for music fans anyway, so why not include all this other stuff? So I'm going through the big head trip of that right now. And, you know, some people have said, even people that work in and around my in the sphere, they say, are you sure you don't want to just like trickle 1 or 2 out at a time? I said, nothing amazing has ever been done by playing it safe or just taking one slow step at a time. I said, if we want to make some noise, we're going to make some noise with all 6 of them. No pun intended, musical instruments, right? But I seriously believe, like, why put that off if they're all going to work off of the same blueprint? So that's the big thing. By the end of this year, well, sooner than that, we'll have made a big announcement and it'll start to become accessible. You'll see it on all the social channels that we're on now: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo. And is it still called X this week? I think it is.
I still call it Twitter, man. But
yeah, me too. X.
Twitter. It's like MySpace, man. That was like the first social media I did. So I'm kind of old now, but that was what was popping. So I can't wait to see what you're doing. Hopefully we can probably have you back on to get some.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure.
On, because I would say this for our viewers and our audience, those who are listening. Everything you hearing, like you heard previous people on our platform, we all kind of have this similar thread, if you will. It's all about what is coming next. What are you doing? How are you positioning yourself? What have you learned? And if you feel like you're stuck, you just need to watch this episode again and dig out all the information that this guy just gave you all. Dan, you really dropped some things that I feel like even I going to start paying attention to, because you really don't know what is possible until you hear a story. And that's what's so great about people like you, who not just have so much massive success. I mean, just to get over 500,000 is pretty awesome, but to have millions,
yeah, it's crazy.
You definitely found something that is working. And for that, I want to say, appreciate you giving our audience not just a word of wisdom, but being human enough to let them know that, yeah, there were some tough spots, but with those tough spots, I was able to not just go through it, but to really launch something even greater and bigger. So I appreciate that insight. And like always, want to say for you, man, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor. I really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening and watching.